Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Kevin Wiles. We got Eric Mangini joining us on a Friday morning. Fun show ahead for you. Aaron Rodgers opens up for the first time since they drafted his heir apparent. Wait till you hear what he had to say or didn't have to say. The Cowboys continue to fumble their negotiations with Dak. But this morning, we start with the latest name linked to the New England Patriots. It's our rewarding performance, sponsored by Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet? And oh boy, is right, Kevin Wildes. The Bengals have officially released Andy Dalton after 9 seasons, and like 15 seconds later, his name had been linked to the Patriots. It's a move we're calling the Joe Burrow effect. Less than 24 hours later, Dalton drawing interest from New England, something we're calling the panic to replace Tom Brady effect. Both of those names are a work in progress. Nick, I'll start with you. Based on our early morning meeting, I think I know where you stand on this, but should the Patriots draft? Should the Patriots sign Andy Dalton?
No. Listen, if New England wants to go with Jarrett Stidham, if they see something in Stidham that I haven't seen, more power to them. As Coach will, I'm sure, tell you, I have missed on my share of young quarterbacks, and I haven't been evaluating years of Jarrett Stidham tape. So if they see something that he's going to break the mold of what the last 20 years of NFL history say a fourth round or later quarterback almost always is, if his name isn't Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins, then so be it. No problem. But if they're going to go the free agent quarterback route and they choose Dalton over Cam, it's utterly and totally indefensible. If they trade for Jacoby Brissett, I'll understand it. He had been there. Jacoby was actually playing well last year and the team was playing well until he got hurt. He's cheap. I'll understand that. I'll understand Stidham if the old comfortable, as Wildes would say, sweater that is Brian Hoyer makes them feel good. No problem. But if you're going to bring in someone new, someone foreign to the system, a 30-plus-year-old quarterback whose previous team had gotten rid of him, and they choose Dalton, who hasn't been good since 2015, a year he had A.J. Green, Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Tyler Eifert, over Cam Newton, who most recently, when we saw him in the playoffs, went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees and damn near led a double-digit comeback victory, then it's just totally indefensible and inexplicable. So no, Kevin Wildes, the Patriots should not be interested in the Red Rifle Andy Dalton.
I totally agree, Nick. And as I said yesterday, I'm out. No more Cam talk, no more Tua talk, no more Dalton talk, no Trevor Lawrence talk. I'm a Stidham guy, and I'm sticking with it. Look, it's one part joke, and I'm one part serious. We talk about how teams need to manage the message to Rodgers and Wentz. But what about the other side of the coin? What about Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts or Jarrett Stidham? Someone's got to support them, too, and I'm starting with the man in the mirror. So I'm sending confidence vibes to Stidham that he can succeed without being all-time great, because that's the Patriot way. Tom Brady's first year, 15 games, he threw 18 touchdowns, had 12 interceptions, and averaged a hair less than 190 yards. Oh, God. In the Super Bowl, 145 yards, 1 touchdown, and he went up to Drew Bledsoe and said, we did it because it was a team effort. So, Jenna, I need to recruit you in this. Is Stidham capable of replicating those numbers and the success if the Patriots team and, Jenna, this is the important part, and you too, Coach, the First Things First team supports him? Absolutely. I'm on the Stidham train. Jenna, come on and join. Coach, join. And Nick, you're welcome aboard as well.
We often have communication situations. Hold on. Because we're so far apart, we're having to do this from our apartments. But it sounded like what you're saying is that Stidham could eventually turn into Brady. And again, maybe we're having some issues and I'm not hearing everything correctly. Coach, what say you about that? You were there. You saw Brady in the beginning.
Yeah, look, everybody in New England is hoping and praying that whatever person, whoever replaces Tom, is going to become Tom if he's a young player. Every team in the league is hoping that their young quarterback eventually becomes Tom Brady. But there's only one of those, and it's wishful thinking. And you've got to look at all your alternatives. And the idea of Andy Dalton coming free, it's a very New England play. They didn't trade for him, so they don't have to give up anything to get Andy Dalton. They maybe get him on a one-year deal, something that's cheap. He has had success in Cincinnati, and if you believe that his 5 playoff runs were good but could be even better in the New England system, then he is a value play and a potential fit. The idea of Cam going there, it's unrealistic. It's not a culture fit. He's coming off an injury. It doesn't make any sense, but Andy Dalton does to some degree make sense. Now, that being said, they may feel like it's more important to keep the young, cheap quarterback and try to reinforce the team in other directions and win from a global approach as opposed to being quarterback driven. And look, they're going to have to initially with whoever they get.
Go ahead, Nick. I know you question sometimes why people say that Cam isn't really a good culture fit for the Patriots. But Cam doesn't want to be a backup. He wants to go in somewhere and be the franchise guy.
Well, yeah, we're talking about wouldn't sign Dalton to be a backup either. We'd be talking about bringing someone in to be a starter. And again, if they believe Stidham can be Tom Brady 2.0 or even Terry Brady, his first cousin who's somewhat related, fine, go with it. But if you are going to bring in a veteran quarterback and picking Dalton over Cam because of some nebulous, undefinable culture fit is nonsense. I'm glad Coach brought up those playoff runs. Let's look at how those playoff runs ended for Andy Dalton, because the Patriots are defined by the postseason, right? Let's look at Andy Dalton's postseason resume. That is horrifying. There is no way around it. There is no explanation for it. He lost to TJ Yates. He lost to Matt Schaub. He lost to a young Andrew Luck. Cam, on the other hand, his 4 playoff losses came to Cap, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, and Peyton Manning. That's right. And in his most recent playoff game, it was so long ago. It was January of 2018. He threw for 350 yards, 2 touchdowns on the road in the Superdome. By the way, that is as recently as we've seen Matt Ryan in the playoffs, as recently as we've seen Big Ben in the playoffs, and Cam's younger than Big Ben by damn near a decade. Like, Coach, I want to push back. What do you mean Dalton's a better fit for the Patriots culture than Cam Newton because he's a worse dresser? Like, what are we talking about?
Look, it's okay. It's okay that you push back. New England's looking for a starter, not a star. Cam wants to be the star. He wants to be on the marquee. That's not how the system works in New England. You are one of many, and the team is bigger than anything else. And that's really not been Cam's MO, and that's fine. Different teams want different things from players in that position. And when you look at Andy Dalton's playoff run, if you just put in the context of what he did, I think that's misleading, because now you'd be combining him with Bill Belichick, you'd be combining him with Josh McDaniels, you'd be combining him with the New England system. And Kevin said it earlier. In Tom's first year, there were 3 offensive touchdowns throughout that run. So you're not looking for him to have to carry the whole load. You're looking for him to play a role in a system that's proven over time.
Wilds, can I ask you a question? Because you said something very, very smart a few weeks ago, which is the the assistant GM test is, I think, what you called it. Which was, you've said a lot of smart things since then, but one thing specifically sticks out in my mind. The assistant GM test. I'm just curious. If you're the assistant GM or the GM for the Dolphins, for the Jets, or for the Bills, and you are told the Patriots signed a quarterback, who are you hoping that answer is? Dalton or Cam? If you're working against them, if you're coaching against them, who are you rooting for them to sign? Andy Dalton, who the Bengals benched last year for, I thought it was Jeff Driscoll, but it wasn't Jeff Driscoll. He was in Detroit. It was, I forgot even who it was, the quarterback who they replaced him with, and the Bengals benched last year, or Cam Newton.
Well, of course. If I'm the Dolphins, I'll flip it again. Imagine if the Jets signed Cam Newton. You know what I would be thinking as a Patriots fan? I hope Sam Darnold doesn't get hurt. So I understand the allure of Cam. Nick, you were with me as I went through my Cam psychosis, but I'm trying to stay focused on Stidham. Don't mess with my Stidham vibes. I'm staying focused. Stidham for the future.
It's been a rough couple of weeks for Wilds. He went from Tua, then to Cam, now to Stidham. Let's just try to keep you steady, buddy. All right, let's take a break. Time for a little draw in a blank. We're going to start with the Green Bay Packers. When they drafted Jordan Love last week, many thought that would aggravate Aaron Rodgers, but ESPN's Bill Barnwell thinks it could actually motivate Aaron Rodgers, asking the question, isn't there a chance it lights a fire under him? So, Nick, a motivated Aaron Rodgers this season would be blank.
The exact same. Let me say this on the front end. I think Bill Barnwell is the smartest person writing about the NFL. If I were to win the lottery and buy an NFL team, my first move would be to hire Eric Mangini to be my head coach. My second move would be to hire Bill Barnwell to be my general manager. I love Bill, but he is, during quarantine, he's bought into this media nonsense that Aaron Rodgers and other players aren't operating under peak motivation. That Aaron Rodgers is going through the motions. I mean, maybe I'll win a Super Bowl. Maybe I won't. Who cares? Can't wait for the offseason. Oh, you drafted a quarterback? Now I'm going to try harder. He's been trying his hardest. I promise you the issue is Aaron Rodgers hasn't been under-motivated. So this idea that, we're going to hit him with, instead of the sugar cube, we're going to give him the whip and he's going to run faster. He's not a Clydesdale. He's one of the greatest football players ever. So no, he's going to be the exact same no matter what the Packers do mind games with him through the draft, Coach.
Yeah, I think one of the things he's going to be is talkative. And when you look at what he did last year, a lot of it was overcoming coaching, overcoming a rookie head coach. And Aaron's always been one to say things, maybe not directly, but he sends very clear messages. And really, the only time that happened last year is when they went out to California and he talked about the fact that they weren't very prepared, that they didn't have the right approach to it. But that's going to happen a lot more. When you disregard the contribution that he made to last season, or you start putting out there that you're frustrated with his act or you're over his act, just understand that you're gonna get a lot more of that act in the next season. And this is a little bit of a case of overestimating your contribution versus Aaron Rodgers' contribution.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers wrote chill vibes on Instagram. I actually think it's the opposite. I actually think when he chills out, he gets more fired up. Remember in 2014 when he was like, relax, everybody, after they were 1-2, and then they went 11-2 from there on out. So I think the more relaxed he is, the more motivated he is. But Jenna, the thing I'm really worried about now is Nick's fictitious football team. He just hired Barnwell to be the GM, and then he just was really upset at him. So I think there's some turmoil, not only in the Packers organization, but also with Nick's fictitious football team.
Perfect owner.
I feel so bad for Nick. Not really. Let's move on to Cam Newton now. When his former head coach, Ron Rivera, was asked if he thought about bringing Cam to his new Washington team, Rivera chose his words carefully, saying, it depends on circumstances. So, Nick, considering the circumstances, a Cam Newton, Ron Rivera reunion would be blank.
I think a bad idea for all parties involved. I like Ron Rivera a lot as a head coach, but he's not what you would consider a cutting-edge offensive mind. I would like to see Cam, with his next team, have some offensive innovation that he didn't get in his decade or near decade in Carolina. Also, I still believe Dwayne Haskins can be a franchise quarterback in this league. He didn't play well his rookie year until the final 2 games, were his best 2 games of the season. I don't want Cam to go somewhere where he's just a placeholder. And they traded for Kyle Allen, Jenna, one of your many mediocre backup quarterback loves. And I really just don't want to hear about how Kyle Allen needs to replace Cam Newton from you every week, every Monday next year. So for all those reasons, selfishly and for Cam and for Ron, Coach, I say it's a bad idea.
Yeah, to me, this would be surprising, bordering on shocking. And Ron Rivera knows more about Cam Newton than anybody. And the fact that he's not pushing for them to bring in Cam talks a lot about what he thinks. And And sometimes you speak volumes by what you don't say. And their quarterback situation is far from settled. And to have an opportunity for a player like Cam Newton, if you felt that Cam Newton was a franchise quarterback, and nobody would have a better perspective or better understanding whether or not he is that than Ron Rivera. To me, it would be surprising if they move forward just with everything that's been done to this point.
Yeah, Jen, it's not Brady Gronk. This is the band that doesn't want to get back together. Even though Cam was 68 and 55 with Ron Rivera, it's like Ocean's 11 or 12 or 13 when they put the team back together, except the opposite. These guys do not want to be together.
It's like,
all right, it's true. Nobody knows him more than Ron Rivera. It's just like Ocean's 11.
It is.
Exactly. On to the Dallas
like
Cowboys
Ocean's
now.
11, 12, and 13,
big
except
elephant
the
in
opposite.
the room.
Yeah.
That's true. That is what he said. Dak's contract. CEO Stephen Jones once again asked about it and said this: "We believe in our track record of getting players signed. I totally believe we'll get Dak signed at the right number. That's good for Dak, good for the Cowboys, good for the team. And yet, my friends, Dak remains unsigned." Nick, Stephen Jones' comments on Dak's contract were blank.
Superfluous, pardon me. Like almost all the Cowboys' comments on Dak's contract the last 15 months have been unnecessary. Very often I think the New England way is overrated, but in this regard, they need to take a page out of Bill Belichick's playbook. Say less. Hey, he's a player. We've been negotiating with him. Everyone knows that. We're not going to continue doing this through the media, because every time they comment on him, you add $500,000 to what his ask is going to be. Every time it's like, oh, of course he's going to be here. Of course he's our quarterback of the future. Of course we're excited. Mike McCarthy. Of course I'm excited to coach him. One of the reasons I took the job. Zip it, fellas. He's not under contract right now. He's not even technically right now a member of your organization. He doesn't even want to show up to these Zoom workouts that you guys are doing. Stop talking about this. You're not helping your cause, Coach.
Yeah, to me, these comments are consistent. This is what they've done throughout the whole process, and I don't know why you think they'd suddenly change and why you would expect that if they don't say anything now, Nick, that the contract expectations are going to change. They've said a lot of really positive things about Dak, and I believe that they believe those things as well. So they will get the contract done. Will it be sooner rather than later? Probably not. There's probably going to have to be some sort of event that pushes it to the edge or to a breaking point. But it's consistent with how the Cowboys operate.
Jenna, I went with Nick referencing LeBron in his show. This is going to happen one way or another. It'll get done. You might not think it's going to happen. You might be like, how is it going to happen? This contract will get done. They're at 33, 105, 33 and a half, 34, whatever it is. It's going to be Nick referencing LeBron in his show. Some way, somehow, it will get done.
Well, once again, I feel like this is a little projection from Kevin Wildes. Monday, I was trying to talk about The Last Dance, the great documentary that I believe Kevin Wildes' wife helped make, yet he somehow shoehorned LeBron into the conversation. Today, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. You shoehorned LeBron into the conversation. Listen, LeBron's doing his own thing. He's working out, working on Space Jam, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the show because Wildes demanded it be in there because Wildes has a weird LeBron complex. I'm just here to talk about the news of the day. I'm just here to talk about the news of the day and the facts on the ground. And if the greatest athlete in American history comes up organically, we can discuss him. But I didn't feel a need to bring it up, at least yet today, Kevin Wildes. That's where I stand, Jenna.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Wildes,
stand corrected.
this is just like Ocean's 11. The same exact thing, but a totally different plot with different characters and a completely different topic. Sort of like that. All right, on to some hoops now. The New York Knicks are reportedly mulling over the idea to trade for soon-to-be 35-year-old Chris Paul because it could jumpstart the franchise. Apparently, Patrick Ewing and Willis Reed were busy. Nick, the Knicks eyeing a CP3 trade is blank. No, they weren't.
A fait accompli. People were discussing this the moment Chris Paul got traded from the Rockets to the Thunder. that he was going to end up a Knick, because nothing is more New York Knicks than signing a once-great player when he is on his bloated final contract. Now, I should say this. If you guys remember, back when the world was normal and I was doing that MVP horse race, you know whose name popped up there at the end with 5% chance? It was CP3. He is playing great basketball this year, but $122 million. That is what is owed to him over the next 3 years. That seems a little onerous for a team that isn't exactly a point guard away from winning the title, Coach.
To me, this is merited. And when you look at it, and I've talked about this a lot, you have guys that are force multipliers. And with a young team and players that are emerging, to be able to bring in a veteran who can help them be their best selves, who can help them produce at a higher level, I think that's good. And when you look at his stats, look at the next level statistics, whether it's the win share, whether it's player efficiency rating, whether it's value over replacement player. Take your pick. It's all better than it was the year before. And so, Nick, these are advanced level stats, Nick. You should check these out when you get an opportunity. But if you look at the advanced stats and the things that he brings from a culture perspective, to me, it's merited. And when you're talking about bloated contracts, it's the NBA. Those contracts are just contracts.
Got it. Well done, Coach. I'm going to go. It was fantastic. Jenna, I'm going to go with a Seal reference, a kiss from a rose. Leon Rose, who's a former CAA agent who's now running the Knicks. This is going to happen. And if you want to have fun, go to the CAA basketball page and see who else is on that roster. The first person that pops up is Chris Paul. Then the graphics start to move. Uh-oh, there's Donovan Mitchell. There's Joel Embiid. There is, number 1, Zion. This is the first of many CAA players that are coming to New York. Get ready. It'll be a wonderful acquisition for the Knicks. And a good Seal reference.
Sounds good. I like it. We got it. It was the only Seal song I knew, so I'm glad you chose that one. Take a break. Back here, First Things First, now joined by the newest Dallas Cowboy cornerback, Trevon Diggs. Trevon, good morning. Thanks so much for being with us. We're going to dive right in. We have so much to get to this morning. So you grow up rooting for the Dallas Cowboys. That's your team. Then last week, the Dallas Cowboys draft you 51st overall. I can't even imagine what this whole week, this whole process has been like for you. Has it sunk in? And tell me a little bit about what's been going through your mind.
It's been amazing. It's been a blessing, honestly. This has been my favorite team, and they came and got me, and I'm just thankful, and I thank the whole program, and just happy, ready to get to work. So I'm excited. It's kind of like it's a funny feeling because you don't know where you're going. You don't know who's going to call your phone. You don't know, where you're going to get picked up at. You don't know where you're moving to. So it's just kind of funny that you just don't know. But your life is about to change within, this next phone call. So it's just amazing. And, I'm glad that, I got to come to the Dallas Cowboys.
If people don't know, a friend of the show, Stefon Diggs, is your brother. He's obviously established himself as an excellent pro. He gets drafted by Minnesota, plays far from home, and now he's on Buffalo, another place far from home. What was his advice to you throughout the draft process, and what was his reaction when he found out you were going to your childhood team, the Dallas Cowboys?
It was amazing. I've never seen him so excited. Actually, last time I seen him this excited was the catch that he had made. That's when he was really excited. But I seen him really excited this time for me. He was just happy for me because we put in so much work, and this kind of like he kind of made this and created this and helped me out a little bit. So a lot of it actually. So it's just amazing. He's happy to see me off, and happy to see me on the team, and he's just happy for me. So I never see him just light up. He was just lit up. It's a video. He was just so happy, and it was amazing because that's like my brother, that's like my father figure. So, I was just happy to see him, just happy.
The Cowboys released the Zoom call, the Zoom interview that you guys did, and you can see there's immediate chemistry between you and the coaching staff. Did you feel when that call ended and they said, we hope we can put a star on your helmet, that you were going to get drafted by the Cowboys?
I didn't know because my brother was telling me it's always the team that you least expect. And that's kind of true because I didn't expect the Dallas Cowboys to draft me. I felt like they had interest in me, but I felt like they had more interest as well. But it all played out and it all worked out. And, I'm thankful. I'm happy. I can't complain. So I'm excited.
So, Trevon, one of the biggest draft offseason or draft stories that we've been sort of discussing the last couple of weeks and months is where Tua was going to go, how healthy he is, your former teammate. The Dolphins end up drafting him 5th overall. Give us an idea of what Dolphins fans can expect and what they're getting from Tua.
They're expecting a true warrior. He's a hard worker in practice. He's a very good practice player, very good game player, and, he makes things happen. He's going to get all the receivers, catch. He's going to spread the ball around. He's going to do everything good. He's an all-around great quarterback. And, I love playing with him. He made me a better defensive back. Just the throws that he made, he can make every throw. He can throw the ball in plenty of tight spaces. And it's just amazing what he can do. His arm talent is just amazing. And I do feel like he was the best player in the draft. So, I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see, what he has to do for Miami and stuff. So, I'm excited.
By the time Tua took over at quarterback, you were a lockdown corner for Alabama. But when you got to Alabama, you were a bit of jack of all trades. Played some defensive back, played some kick returner, and played wide receiver. At that point in time, Jalen Hurts was your quarterback. Jalen Hurts. Now, I understand here pretty soon he's a divisional rival, and you got to try to pick him off if he comes in the game. But for Philly, what are they getting with Jalen Hurts, and how effective do you think he can be in whatever role they're using him in?
I feel like he can be really effective because, he played in versatile offenses. He's been in multiple offenses. He came from Alabama, then went to Oklahoma, went to an all-passing school. So, he can do anything. He can run any offense, read options. He can run anything. He can do anything. So, he's like an all-star quarterback. He can do anything, and he's that quarterback. But, he's a great player as far as a person. He's a great person. He's a people's person. He's a hard worker. He's really a good leader. He leads by example, and he's a real quiet person. But when he speaks, everybody listens. He's that type of guy that when you walk into the room and he say something, you're gonna listen because a lot of people have a lot of respect for him. So he's just a hard worker. Not cocky, very humble. I love him. That's my friend. That's one of my close friends. I just talked to him, so I'm excited for him. But we gotta see him.
In that Zoom meeting that I talked about, you actually asked the coaching staff a question about their defensive schemes, and Mike McCarthy kind of joked, like, we haven't had a full meeting yet. Do you think that this is a tricky challenge for you because everyone is separated, and how are you trying to balance that with your preparation?
I wouldn't say it's a tricky situation, but, it is some adversity that everyone's facing. So, you just got to learn how to deal with it. There's a lot of things that you can do to build around that and work around that and, get things done and get things accomplished. So, there's plenty of ways. We found ways to, have interviews and, do everything. So, we just have to make an adjustment and, just roll with the punches and make the best of it.
Let me ask you this, because there's different narratives about Alabama players coming into the league. One of them is they're coached so well that they're almost already at their ceiling. That guys don't have a ton of room for growth because they're coached up so well by Nick Saban. The flip side to that is he's arguably the greatest college football coach ever, and you're kind of getting a PhD during your undergrad. How do you think those 4 years under Saban have prepared you for this next level, maybe a little differently than other guys that went to different schools?
It's funny, I get asked the question a lot, but I don't know about other schools. I don't know, what they have to offer and the things that, they've done for their players. But as far as for my school, I know they have prepared me well all around the building, even on the field, off the field. There's just a bunch of preparation that help you out for success. And, being under Coach Saban kind of teach you how to be a man and, teach you how to go about your business. And you just look at him and you just watch him and you can take little things from him, like as a person. Like, for example, it'll be a little bit of chatter going on before, like, team meetings and stuff before he walks in the door. But as soon as he walks in the door, everybody stops talking. You can hear a pin drop. So respect like that, just everyone has so much respect for him, and because of how he carries himself, and the things that he's accomplished, and that's good because he's a hard worker. He works hard. He comes there early and leaves late, just like us. I feel like he kind of works harder than us as far as like looking at film and do things like that. So he does a lot for us. But as far as a person, it's a lot of great values and things that I've taken from him. So I really appreciate it from that. And it's a lot of great things about that program that helps you out. And on the field, he has everything that you need, all the information that you need. So it's just amazing to be under him. And he's always in my defensive backroom, so I can learn from him. He's right there coaching me every day. Always getting on me, and there's a lot of things that he tells me to work on that I don't really show, but it's little things that he always get on me, and I needed that to help. I'm in the position that I am today because of him.
All right, Trevon, we're going to have a little fun here. I'm going to ask you 3 quick rapid-fire questions, and then the guys will jump in. First thing that comes to mind. Ready? Here we go. Number 1, best slogan, better slogan, rather. America's team or Roll Tide? Which one?
Ooh. America's team.
Got to pick one. America's team. You chose wisely.
Smart man.
They are paying you now. Number 2, the most famous person, not your brother, besides your brother, in your phone.
Des Bryant.
That's a good one. That's not bad at all. All right, here we go. That's a really good one. The first big purchase you're going to make now that you're a member of the Dallas Cowboys that might surprise us.
I don't want to spend my money, though.
Yeah. Okay. It's one way to answer
you don't want
it.
to spend your money.
No, not yet. You need to save something.
Doesn't have to be big.
I'm going to take care of my mom first, personally. I'm going to help out my mom first. She's been there for me since I was a kid. When my father passed, she was there, filling that role, taking me to practice as much as she can while she was working. So, I owe her. I owe her a nice gift.
Yeah, one would. Hey, you do, and then you're a very nice guy. Buy yourself something, Trevon. Your brother's already made a bunch of money. He can take care of mom. Like, you can buy yourself something. But all right, I'll get 3 quick ones for you, and then I'll let you go. Take yourself out of it. The Alabama rookie, you guys had a bunch drafted, that you think can make the most instant impact, take yourself out of it, is who?
Xavier McKinney.
Oh, the safety. Fellow defensive back. You're a little defensive back bias. You're not going to go with the receivers. Yeah, we understand. All right.
You guys
same group. Okay, same group of guys of the Alabama rookies. The one you would least want to have been quarantined these last 50 days with.
Oh, Raekwon Davis. No way.
Why?
No way. Oh my gosh. I can quarantine because he's funny, but outside of that, he's kind of, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
That's one of my good friends too.
All right, and then we'll leave it. This will be the last one for you. And keep in mind, Stefan's a friend of the show, so I'm not taking any shots at him when I say this.
All right.
But what is your reaction when you see your brother losing his mind a bit on the sideline? When you're watching football on Sundays and Stefan is screaming at somebody, what's going through your mind?
In my mind, I'm thinking he's getting ready. Oh, my God.
That's great.
In my head,
hey,
I feel
Trevon,
like he's competing.
He's competing. Hey, listen, you're about to start really competing. We thank you so much. All the best of luck on this next chapter for you. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning. Good luck to you. We're going to take a little break here on First Things First. Time now for stories to start your morning. Aaron Rodgers has finally broken his silence since Jordan Love, his heir apparent, was drafted. Level your expectations here. He posted this picture to Instagram with the hashtag chill vibes and relax.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you make of this?
I make Aaron Rodgers continues to be a great teammate, continues to not buy into this media smear narrative that it seems like the Packers are engaging against him for reasons I will never understand. And Aaron Rodgers continues to be the guy that I think he is, which is someone who's focused on the actual goals at hand, even if the team appears to be focused on some more nefarious operations in the meantime. So I don't know how one could be upset with Aaron Rodgers for this. I don't think anyone would be. And he is, listen, I'm sure I know myself and others, I'm sure, have reached out to Aaron to see if he wants to, on or off the record, say anything to combat some of this narrative that's going against him. And he won't engage in it. Instead, he's hanging out on a mountaintop. Good for him. I'm happy for him, Wilds.
Instead, he's hanging out on a mountaintop. I'm not reading too much into it. His next post was about the Kentucky Derby. And then I looked it up, we've got a virtual Kentucky Derby coming on Saturday. Secretariat, the 7-2 fade, barely edging Citation, and old favorite Seattle Slew coach.
Yeah, that's kind of like Ocean's 11 in terms of how it fits in.
Good callback.
I look at this, and Aaron Rodgers played both roles here. He's been the new guy, so he knows what that's like, and he knows the pressures that come with that. And he's now the veteran who is achieving at a very high level, doesn't have a lot to worry about from the rookie, and ideally is going to help that player the way that he would have liked to have been helped when Brett Favre was there. That would be, to me, the most chill vibe, is that he learned from his experience and is actually going to be a positive force in developing the young quarterback.
Wilds, you and I are exactly the same. Oh, there's Aaron Rodgers. Oh, the Kentucky Derby. Oh, who should I vote? Oh, it's a virtual one. Sucked right down the rabbit hole every day with me.
That's right. It's interesting.
All right.
Secretariat.
Right? Who knew? Let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs now. They picked up the fifth-year option on Super Bowl MVP quarterback Patrick Mahomes, to the surprise of literally nobody. Hey, Coach, when will Mahomes' extension happen, and what kind of record-breaking numbers do you expect to see with this?
His extension is going to happen whenever he wants to force it to happen. It's a little different situation than what's happening with Dak Prescott. If he decides to sit out, the team has no other alternative besides trying to make him happy. But he doesn't seem like that type of guy. I'm sure that Nick chose that last video to show his fun-loving side, which he has. But he strikes me as being not just a great player, but a great teammate. So I'm sure that he won't force the issue sooner than he has to.
Nick, you're going to be due for a huge bill to the Chiefs. I think this is the contract that people start talking about, the quarterback-only salary cap. Take it away.
All right, so I have a lot of things to talk about here, but most notably, I have to call back to Wild's previous answer. If those odds are correct, if you can get Secretariat at 7-2, my God, America, empty out your 401ks, forget this market downturn. We can get it all back and then some. 7-2? Is that a real line? I can bet Secretariat. Seattle Slew's got no shot whatsoever. Affirm. Get the hell out of here, Affirm. Secretariat had an enlarged heart. He was basically a horse on PEDs before PEDs existed. So Secretariat 7-2.
Don't sleep on Seattle Slew.
That's first of all. Second of all, in order to pay Patrick Mahomes, Clark Hunt maybe should put $100 million on 7-2 Secretariat. And now it's a bargain. All right, as far as Patrick Mahomes' contract, I would encourage the Chiefs to offer him as long of a contract as he will accept and fully guaranteed. Because listen, if he suffers a career-ending injury, we're screwed anyway. Who cares? We were in the wilderness for 50 years. So the only way to get a bargain, if you can get some type of bargain, is to have this contract be incredibly long-term, like 7 years. So you give him 7 years, $40 million a year, fully guaranteed $280 million, as opposed to a 4-year extension where he's going to be back for a new deal in 2024, and at that point he'd be $50 million a year. I think $40 million a year would be a bargain in a league where, hell, what did Kirk Cousins just get? $33 million a year? I mean, he's worth $7 million more than Kirk Cousins. So you want him locked in as long as possible. You offer him as all of it guaranteed, and you hope he accepts it. That's what you do with the most talented quarterback in the history of the league and the guy who one day might just be the greatest quarterback ever. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but he might just one day.
Oh, it's good. You walk that back a little bit.
You live ahead of yourself, Nick. On to the Philadelphia Eagles now. GM Howie Roseman said the team is married to Carson Wentz despite the Jalen Hurts draft pick they registered at Bed Bath & Beyond. Nick, you surprised the Eagles keep reassuring Wentz's role on the team?
Listen, I don't doubt they're married to Carson Wentz. I do wonder, though, why they keep bringing up out of nowhere, I promise I'm not having an affair with the au pair. Like, nobody thought you were. Nobody thought that you drafted Jalen Hurts to replace Carson Wentz until you kept being like, no, Carson, you're our guy. We have to have a hard conversation with Carson. They are speaking this controversy into existence. I'm going to, again, say less. I don't understand why they feel the need to continue to talk. Nobody thought that Carson Wentz was on the hot seat. You just gave him $128 million. So this is a story that I don't understand. Wilds, Jalen Hurts didn't even think he got drafted to replace Carson Wentz. I feel like they're speaking a insecurity into Carson Wentz's brain by continuing to talk about this.
Yeah, I think it's imperfect messaging, Nick. And when Howie Roseman in that interview, he talked about our actions. Most people thought like, well, what, you drafted a quarterback in the second round. Those are your actions. But he was actually talking about the draft and the contract. So Howie Roseman mentioned how much they gave up to get Carson. It's still front of mind for him. I think it's back of mind for everybody else. They gave up their 2016 first, third, and fourth, their 2017 first, and their 2018 second round pick. That's front of mind for Howie Roseman. Carson's success is tied to Howie Roseman's decision making, so I understand the marriage analogy.
I've seen or know a lot of people who talk about their marriage in glowing terms in a way that they're trying to convince themselves of how successful it is. And look, these guys are married, and they're married because it's $78 million in dead money if they decide to try to get the divorce. So it's too expensive for them to get a divorce. Now, the frustrating thing, I'm sure, for Howie is that one of the last girls they dated took him to the promised land, and they remember that, and Carson hasn't done that. So it's a marriage that has to continue to happen. And look, if they get divorced, everybody's going to lose.
We take metaphors so far that I just forget the topic and what we were talking about. Now all I can think about is marriage. All right, on to Andy Dalton now. After 9 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals, he has officially been released. Several teams already linked to the 32-year-old quarterback, with the Jaguars being one of them. Coach, I'll send it back to you. Smart idea for the Jags to go get Andy Dalton?
I think that they should investigate Andy Dalton, and it's not like they're dealing with proven commodities where they are. Now, I don't know how smart it would be for Andy Dalton to go there and try to be a backup. The smart thing for Andy Dalton right now is just to sit and be patient and let these teams figure out what they have at quarterback, because eventually somebody's going to figure out that they don't like the situation that they're in, and they're going to pay him a lot more money and give him a lot more security than if he goes to sign as a backup in Jacksonville right now.
I like the Jacksonville move, Nick. Gardner's thrown 21 touchdowns. Andy Dalton's thrown 10 times that many. He's thrown 204. So maybe he comes in and gets a starting job. Maybe just teaches Gardner. But I think that's a nice fit for him. And also it would kill all the Patriots narrative that's out there.
Yeah, this actually, to me, makes a lot of sense. Gardner Minshew is a good story. I don't know that he's a good NFL starting quarterback. Maybe he will be, but we haven't seen nearly enough. And what is Andy Dalton's biggest issue? His failures in the postseason, his 59 postseason passer rating. Well, if you sign with Jacksonville, you don't have to worry about the postseason, so just scratch that off the list. So to me, it makes perfect sense. Like, of course, Go to Jacksonville, Gardner. He will have Gardner's stash against Andy's hair. I'm excited for it. And let them play. Let them fight it out. So, yeah, to me, this makes a hell of a lot more sense than Dalton going to the Patriots or going somewhere as a backup. He actually could be the starter in Jacksonville.
All right. Let's end the show today with a little LeBron. LeBron took to social media yesterday to reveal the new Space Jam logo and title for the 2021 release, Space Jam, A New Legacy. Clearly didn't spend a ton of time with the social media guy. Coach, not if, but when you do see this, what is your movie experience like? You bring your own snacks? Is Space Jam on your must-see in the next couple weeks, months?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I make my own snacks. It's not a big deal.
What do you have, like bone broth popcorn, I'm sure, as part of your snacks?
Yeah, I make bone broth popcorn. Me and Tom Brady with the avocado ice cream.
I would imagine. Look, whether or not he can do what Michael Jordan did remains to be seen. That the Space Jam franchise has generated over $6 billion. Let's see whether Jordan can match that, or LeBron can match that or not.
Jenna, you bring your own snacks into the movie theater? Nick, is that like when you bring vegetables?
Bring your own snacks.
No,
that's
listen, this is what
we make fun of the Patriots for breaking the rules in the playbooks. Jenna's sneaking in vegetables.
It's unbelievable. But hold on, real quick on this. Coach already started it. I can't wait. This movie's going to come out, and you know what the narrative's going to be? Jordan would have scored 70 against those Monstars. Oh, my God, the defense in Space Jam 2. Nothing like the defense in the original. Oh, the game's watered down. Excited for it, Jenna.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
No hand checking.
Go watch Ocean's 11.